Hello again everyone, this is Randy, your sewing machine man, and today we're looking at a Pfaff. You say Pfaff, I say Pfaff. You say Pfaff, I would correct you and say Pfaff. No matter how you say it, someone's going to correct you, but I say Pfaff. But Pfaff, AFF, made in Germany. This one is the Tipmatic 1147, and the reason we're looking at this one today because there's so many of these out there. Good little machines. Back when they were sold new, they were pretty pricey, pretty awesome, way out there, very precise, nice little machines. I have a lot of customers that have these, and as you can see, they do a lot of stitches, and they do them well. It's a nice little machine, nice little platform. But the problem that they have more often than not, it's a repeating problem, is that if they get jammed, there is a little position bracket down here underneath, a little position bracket. That's a little apparatus that looks like this. Use that little background there. And what that does is that keeps the hook. The hook spins around the bobbin case base, which is right here. This is the bobbin case base. And this little finger, position finger, hence the name, fits in this little slot right there. Now it's designed that if it jams, it'll kick out and it won't break the machine, and then your needle will hit and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But when you take it out, clear it out, get it all back together, it has to be reset, and this has to be put, I'll find a background here that's sufficient, maybe right there, so this can go in the slot. Maybe it nice and close, get some light on the subject here. Some better lights. Let me see what the heck. This is close quarter stuff, and I know we're just winging it here. This is all one take stuff. We don't have editing. We don't do all that crazy stuff. We don't have time for it. So here's what we got. Position finger is going to look like this. Sometimes it'll look like this in some of the machines. And same concept, fits around in the slot. Like so. Fits right in the slot like that. And this one, of course, has the two screws over here. 1, 2. You loosen these, and then you spin it around until it gets back in the slot for the bobbin case base, which is right there. See that right there? That's where this goes in, like so. Then you have to set that. That's your thread gap. The thread has to slide through there. Now, if you put it in there too snug, too tight, you'll have no thread gap, and the thread will hang up, and you'll go from having a bad problem to worse problem. Let's try it this way. See, that's how it goes in, like so. It goes right. Let me get where I'm at in the same plane. It goes right in like that. And you want to have it so it's not a quarter of the way, maybe a little over half the way, so you can see daylight all the way around it. You're going to be doing this up in here, so you'll have to shine a light down there and make it work. Take the needle plate off and go in that way. But ultimately, just so you know what you're after, you want that position bracket to be set in the slot, same as in a front load 20U Singer, same as a Gamble, same as any of the industrial machines. That position bracket has to be set to where the thread will slide through. Now, a bigger thread has to have a bigger gap, but it can't be so big that this will spin out. This can't spin out. This has to stay in there and holds it in place, and then as this is stationary, the hook rotates around it. Now what happens on these is it spins around, and then people go down and start monkeying with these timing screws down here. And these timing screws, if it's out of time, it's really a chore. And there's quite often folks say, well, why don't you show us how to do that? It's because you can't. I'm sorry, you can't. It's like when I built my first motor, I had to get help. You know, I built a complete 327 engine, but a couple of times I went, well, I don't know what I'm doing here, so why would I put it together wrong? So you have you have 2 timing screws there. You have a screw down here that makes that bushing go up and down. You don't want to disturb this. This can't move up and down. These gears have to mesh. So when these gears are meshed, this is tight, setting's tight. You time it on the left side as the needle rises. The hook comes in above the eye. It's exactly opposite from a front load oscillator where the hook times on the right. This times on the left, just like a Singer with a drop-in bobbin. Times on the left-hand side. Put on its widest zigzag. You swing the needle to the left. and as the needle rises, the hook comes in above it, and you set your timing on these 2 set screws here. But you make sure that the inside post on the inside doesn't slide down, or else you'll get back and forth motion. It'll be in time, but your hook to needle ratio will be off. The hook's going to go by the needle, and it's going to breeze by it, and you'll think maybe it touched the needle, maybe it didn't. Did I see the needle move? Could have. If it just deflects the needle ever so slightly, that's okay. If it goes by it and there's a little daylight in between it, maybe too much. You may skip stitches. But these settings here, you got that one, you got these 2, you got these 2 here. They're critical. And it's not something I would just want you to just jump in and start doing, because you lose your point of reference and you got a mess and you got to take it somewhere, and they won't be happy. Like this one here, that's what happened. I got it, and the 2 screws on the bottom hold this on. They're missing. There's 4 screws that hold these in place. You know, when I start taking this apart, it's like a forensic exercise. I go, okay, this screw's almost ready to fall out. This is loose. These are missing. This is all. I know someone's been working on it, and it, you know, I used to get really upset about it, but now I know that people want to try to fix stuff, and it's your stuff. You do whatever you want to with it. But if they just say, oh, by the way, I turned every screw on it, so this is going to be a nightmare, thank you. I'd at least appreciate that. So if you work on one of these and you get it all jacked up, that's a mechanic's term. When you get it so jacked up, you say, okay, I'm done. Just don't break anything. Don't lose any screws. When you take it to the guy, bring your wallet and just, you know, mea culpa. I did this, I did that. Tell him what you did so he's not setting stuff and then finding out you turned this. You know, that's a nightmare. So that's this little guy right here. And someone turned every screw on it, and I got to hold every screw and turn them back. And of course now it sews like it's supposed to, because that's how we roll around here. And these machines are prone to loop underneath. They run with very loose tension on the bottom. Put the top on 4 right along this range here. This on here. Let's see. I guess I'm going to point at it. Might as well have you see it on the camera. Up here on your tension. Put it on 4. You know, you're going to be good. 3 to 5 is the range. Put it around 4. It's good. The bobbin, tension on the bobbin is so loose. You're like, wow, this can't be right. And you put it in there, and wow, it's on the money. So the bobbin runs real loose. What usually happens with these most often, the most common problem I see with these, is this little guy on the end here. This little guy right here is very fragile. It will break because it's plastic. It's plastic's job. It's to break. And it always delivers for you. It never disappoints. So you can get the replacement ones that are made out of metal. Ooh, cool. Steel. Excellent. Or you can get the plastic ones. You can order these. I think I got these from Brewer Quilting and Sewing. This is the most common thing on these that get lost. People take these apart. They think they have some clue as to what's going on in here. You don't. Don't take this apart. Trust me. It's not a joyous moment when you get that apart and go, ooh, boy, now what do I do? So these are complicated little machines, but they're good little machines. I have a lot of customers that run them. They used to be famous for breaking these gears down here. These nylon gears underneath were famous for cracking. But if you can get one that's running for a while without it, chances are they're not going to crack, as long as you don't try to do something crazy with them and really stress them out. But all things accounted for, totaled up, it's not a bad little machine, but you have to be careful with it. You can't start willy-nilly loosening screws. You got to get your thread gap set, you got your timing set, your hook to needle ratio's got to be right. You can't be banging into that. So a lot of folks say, why don't you go through this step by step and show us how to do it? A, I don't want to. B, I don't want to live long enough to do it right. And C, you got no business doing it. Some things you just got to take to a professional. If you think you can do it, jump in. You know, if you buy a machine, you say, I got it at Goodwill, I got it for $10, I got nothing in it, give it a whirl. What the heck? But make sure you got a Pfaff dealer in town, so when you get it totally screwed up, you can take it there and tell them what you did, and maybe they'll have mercy on you and get it going. Because all you got to do is don't lose the parts. I can find the screws and get this back together. It's going to have a happy ending. It's a lovely lady that owns it. She's been a customer for a while, and she used to take it to these people over here at was it Bruner? Yeah, Bruner. She used to take it there, and they went out of business. Now it's a liquor store. So she's been bringing it to me for years. Anyhow, so here you go. Pfaff Tipmatic 1147. Thanks.